and welcome back to startabusiness.org.za. You're at Module 2 and we congratulate you for getting through Module 1. If you recall in Module 1, you did the introduction to the skills program and the basics of starting and creating a business plan. In Module 2, we deal with entrepreneurship. This unit standard is called Identify and Demonstrate Entrepreneurial Ideas and Opportunities. It's unit standard 119673. Okay, so we're here to describe and understand the basic concepts of entrepreneurship. Let's take a look at a definition of entrepreneurship. People with the ability to create a working business where none existed before. The entrepreneur produces the combination of ideas, skills, money, and equipment and markets which form a successful business. To simplify this, in my opinion, entrepreneurship is all about being able to feed yourself each and every day. The main characteristics of entrepreneurship are as follows: looking and investigating opportunities, trying to find opportunities that will satisfy needs, has self-confidence, is creative and innovative, persistence and passion towards what they're doing, and gets the job done, takes calculated risks, sets goals and strives to meet them, has good planning skills and leadership skills, and is able to persuade people and network with people. Okay, let's look at the advantages of entrepreneurship. Here we're dealing with things like people being independent, working on their own, having possibly more free time than if you worked for a boss, getting to know and being able to live within your destiny, and becoming wealthy beyond normal employment means. However, there are disadvantages to entrepreneurship, like the possibility of failing or losing all your capital. Also, entrepreneurs tend to have a much busier lifestyle. They have to motivate themselves, get themselves out of bed, and make sure that they're doing the things that they've set their goals to. They've got to take total responsibility of the business that they've started. They're in charge, and leadership and all people below them fall under their realm. But we must remember one thing: 9 out of 10 businesses that start are likely to fail within the first 5 years. I know, this is a horrific statistic, but it is world statistics. 9 out of 10 businesses will fail. However, you're not here because of failure. You're here because you want to succeed, to grow your wealth, and to have a business that contributes towards the South African society. Let's have a look at the main reasons why businesses may fail. Not having the right attitude, lack of experience, lack of money or cash flow problems, poor research into the marketplace, not knowing what to give and when to give it, not controlling your stock properly, taking too much money out of the business can be a big problem, or poor planning, and even choosing the wrong partners can be a cause for failure in business. Okay, we have a case study for you right now. It's called Make Friends. It's adopted by Mossop Leather, and it's one of my case study stories from my experience. I recall when I was 22 getting my first job. I thought I had been quite clever, having come out of studying for 3 years with a marketing management diploma, only to find that I was having to file papers at the company I had started at. Getting the job wasn't easy, and now I found myself filing papers of all things. Crazy. I thought I'd be a marketing manager from the onset. Anyway, my time finally came, and I was given 3 customers to call on. It was a leather company, and I had my leather swatches ready. I was ready to go and wanted to say goodbye to my sales manager just before leaving the office. He was on a call to Durban, and he made me wait patiently as he finished the call. I didn't want to be late for my customers, certainly not on the first occasion. I waited, and finally he put the call down. He looked at me in the eyes and said, "Before you go, just remember to do one thing." I looked at him. I was ready to get orders for this company. What did he have to say now? He said to me, "Just make friends." So I left to see my first 3 customers. Little did I know that they were the oldest customers we had. They were shoe factories in Cape Town. My first customer was Mr. Ranchard. a very old man who had a shoe factory making approximately 200 shoes a day. I had all the swatches ready to show him, to sell him the leather, but he didn't want to see those. He wanted to show me his shoe factory, how he made the shoes, what went into the shoes, what sewing equipment he had, etc. It was amazing. I spent the afternoon trying to understand and learning from Mr. Ranchard what his business was all about. When I left, Mr. Ranchard hadn't bought anything, but I had learned 3 things. 1, who is Mr. Ranchard? 2, what was his business all about? And 3, what opportunities may exist in the future when selling or taking leather samples to Mr. Ranchard? Okay, to summarize then, sales isn't about just selling something. It's about understanding what your customers need. And when it came to Mr. Ranchard, I had to learn the lessons. I had to understand his business, his needs, what leather he required in order to be able to supply that leather to him. Mr. Ranchard taught me valuable lessons. He taught me that to make friends was what business was really all about. When it comes to generating business ideas, you've got to think to yourself, what can I do to make a business out of that idea? But how do you get to an idea? It seems like all the ideas have been taken up in the world. Well, one place I find to start is where there is a problem. Let's take a problem like trying to find a job in South Africa. We've all tried to find a job before, and it's not easy. It may even be a problem that you're suffering from or facing right now. And if you're facing that problem, you can be sure many others are also facing the problem. So how do we solve the problem of finding a job? Well, firstly, we know there's a problem. And secondly, how do we turn that problem into an opportunity and a need that the market can capitalize on and that you can make a business out of? One way to do it is to look at the problem one way and the other, north and south. Turn the problem upside down. Maybe there isn't a problem. Maybe there is a problem. Maybe we could find a small sector of the market that we can fix the problem for. That's the way to look at it. Look at how you are going about doing what you're doing to find a job, and how could you make it easier for others to find a job? If you can do that, you've got a business opportunity. You've got something that can make money. You've got a need that you can satisfy. Now you might say to yourself, yeah, but there's lots of employment agencies and there's this and there's that, and there really isn't an opportunity. But hold on, if you break the opportunity down and look at it in its simplest form, you might be able to find a segment of the market that needs to find employment, a segment that you could help. Maybe it's in the mines, or it could be on apple farms. I don't know. But look at a small portion of the market and how you can help them, and then you've got an opportunity and a need. And if you satisfy that need, you'll be solving the problem, and that is worth money. We all know about inventors, such as Henry Ford or Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. They were great men, but we don't have to be inventors. We can even be innovators, people that take existing products and tweak them and turn them and add to them so that a specific market can benefit from those changes that we make. Those changes that we make are what are called competitive advantage. Something some other competitor isn't offering from the product or the service which adds benefit to the customer at the end of the day. So we know that there are employment agencies out there. That doesn't mean that you can't start an employment agency. You can be innovative and offer something different about your employment agency, such as the location that you work from, the fees that you charge, the sector of business that you get people employment into. Those are the kinds of things that you can differentiate or make a difference to your market and have people come to your doors rather than to your competitors. You know, when it comes to evaluating the solutions that you come up with, ask yourself, are they adding value to your customers? Are they going to be a benefit? Would locating your employment agency, for example, in a location or in a different place be a benefit to your customers? Would they see and pay more for that? Would you attract more customers than if you were located, for example, in the city? So look at the benefits that you're offering. That's really what it's all about. You've got to realize that a lot of people around you as an entrepreneur are going to think you're crazy, that your idea, your product, or your innovation is different or not different. It'll never make money. You'll lose your life savings on it. Just bear that in mind. You have to be strong at this point in time as an entrepreneur and believe that the market that you're heading towards is willing to pay for the innovations and changes in services that you've got to offer. So when it comes to motivating yourself, you've got to be sure that your goals are smart. Smart goals are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they're time-based. So a specific goal might be, we would like to launch startabusiness.org.za in December 2016, for example. They should be measurable. They're measurable in the sense that we've got all of our material together. Everything's in place. The website works. We're able to deliver all the goods to those that we promised we're going to deliver to. Have a look at achievable goals. There's no point in saying, I'd like to be a billionaire by XYZ date. That's just crazy. Rather look at achievable goals that you'll be able to reach on a monthly basis, given the market space that you're working within. They need to be realistic. A realistic goal is achievable. It's something that can happen given the marketplace out there, given the amount of people that are likely to call on your business. And they need to be time-based. I'd like to achieve the following in 1 year, in 2 years, and in 3 years. And the ultimate goal for an entrepreneur is to retire wealthy, to have money behind him that he needn't work again at some point in time. So when it comes to goals and achieving goals, we need to set action plans. Action plans make things happen. An action plan asks, what has to be done? Like, for example, we need to phone up and find out who the employment agencies are, what their fees are, etc. Those are what has to be done. Then we have to understand who's going to do that. And for the most part, it's likely to be you, the entrepreneur. You want to research your market fully to understand where the opportunities and the possible pitfalls are within your opportunity base. Finally, you need to know by when something has to be done. There's no point in just saying what has to be done and by who. Set a time span as to when you expect those goals to be met. That way, there's a sense of urgency about you and there's a sense of direction and knowing when you'd like to have your goals achieved. Let's have a look at some of the weaknesses that you may be faced with as an entrepreneur. For example, setting up unrealistic goals and timeframes. Keeping things to themselves is also a problem. Many entrepreneurs are unable to share their ideas and their vision with the people they employ or work with, and this too can be a problem. Too many interruptions for an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs tend to try to do everything, and they get waylaid with all the busyness of a day instead of focusing on the end result of their goals. Another problem is working without a plan. Failing to plan is like planning to fail. If you don't have a blueprint about where you're going as an entrepreneur, you can be sure you won't end up there. It'll be potluck as to where you do end up. Not doing your homework is also a big problem. Entrepreneurship is all about research, knowing who will buy your products, at what price, where they'll buy them, and how you should sell those products is all part and parcel of being an entrepreneur. You need to do your research, otherwise you're failing yourself and your business. Another case study for you. It's called Work for Free, adapted from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Imagine this story. 2 boys in Hawaii, one a Hawaiian boy and the other a white boy. The white boy's father was a professor at the university. He was doing well. Nice house, nice car. He did okay. The Hawaiian boy's father, known as Rich Dad, had a number of spas or small shops around town, and he was quite wealthy. He had done well for himself over the years. The 2 boys were very interested in understanding how Rich Dad had grown his businesses and what the formula was to make those businesses work. So the 2 boys got together and they approached Rich Dad. And they said to Rich Dad, "Won't you please teach us how to become rich? We're really interested in knowing that." "Sure," said Rich Dad. "That's no problem for me. Come and work in one of my stores and I'll show you guys how to become rich." So the boys went to work for Rich Dad during their holidays. Their job was to dust the cans on top of the shelves. They were earning the minimum wage, and that was all they had to do. Dust away, dust away. It seemed like they just seemed to dust all day long, nothing going their way. Finally, after a week, the two boys approached Rich Dad, and he hadn't spoken to them once during the week, he was so busy. Rich Dad, they said to him, "You're not teaching us how to become rich. We haven't learnt anything from you. How are we ever going to know how to become rich if you don't teach us how to become rich?" Rich Dad looked at the two boys and said, "But guys, you are learning how to become rich." "No, we're not," said the two boys. "All we're doing all day is dusting cans. We're making you rich," they said. Rich Dad said, "I tell you what, stay just another 3 more days. And in those 3 days, you'll learn how to become rich." The two boys looked at each other. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Another 3 days of dusting cans. This was crazy. So the boys looked at each other, looked back at Rich Dad, and then Rich Dad said, "But this time, boys, I'm not going to pay you anything. Not a penny. You'll have to work for free." The two boys looked at each other and thought, "This is nuts. We can't possibly carry on like this." They looked at each other again at Rich Dad, and said, "Okay, all right, we'll say just for 3 more days, but that's it. If we don't know how to become rich in those 3 days, we're going to walk away." "Fine," said Rich Dad. "That'll be fine." So the boys got back to work again, dusting cans, bored out of their minds. In walks a magazine guy. He's the representative for the magazine company, and he walks to the shelf where his magazines are. So he takes the magazines that are there, they're now old stock, and he cuts the cover off them and throws the meaty part, or the part of the magazine which is readable, onto the ground. The two boys look at each other. What would happen to that part that was on the ground, they thought to themselves. So they approached the magazine representative. "Sir," they said, "what are you going to do with those magazines which are lying on the floor?" "No," he said, "I've just got to take the covers back to my shop and I'll replace those old ones with new ones." The boys looked at each other. Could we take those old magazines, they thought to themselves, and asked him. He looked and said, "Yeah, I don't see why not, so long as you don't sell those magazines. My job is just to take the cover back to the store." So the boys picked up the 4 magazines that were lying on the floor and looked at them. There was the entire magazine just without the cover. And they took it back to their basement and started renting them to their friends. Wow, did they make money. 25 cents each. The boys came in and the girls came in and read these magazines. They were making loads of cash, all just from the meaty part of the magazine that had been left behind. So the boys had worked for their rich dad. Their rich dad had finally paid them nothing. They ended up working for free. But by working for free, they had found something. They had seen an opportunity, the meaty part of the magazine that they could rent to their friends. And they were making much more money than they had when they were working for Rich Dad even the week before and earning money. So the moral of this story is, work for free and you'll see opportunities. And when you see those opportunities, capitalize them and do something about it.